This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, Rehabilitation Hospital of New England, and North Shore Community College. If you have the will to attend college, we have the way for you to earn your degree.
Good morning, I'm Danny Vittori, and this is LCTV News. This week, we have a special double lowdown with both the Massachusetts Senior Action Council and Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beaches coming for a visit. For news, new appointments and government dominated the headlines, while videos were full of cultural events. Here is the news for Friday, June 30th, 2023. Lynn Public Library has announced the Find Your Voices Summer Reading Program. Kids of all ages and parents can participate to win fun prizes. For parents with children 11 and under, register your child and pick up their reading log. Once they have read or listened to 4 hours of books, contact the library for a prize. Older kids, aged 12 to 18, can enter to win grand prizes of a Nintendo Switch Lite and a $50 Nintendo eShop gift card. Every hour you read or listen to some form of a book, podcast, or audiobook counts as an entry into the raffle. For adults, read and review as many books as you like to be entered into weekly raffles. Every review submitted counts as an entry. The Senior Center held a prom last Friday the 23rd. They got the whole experience, dressing up for a meal, dancing for part of the afternoon, and having their pictures professionally taken. Here's more from the event.
On June 23rd, Lynn seniors got to show off their dance moves in Friday's Senior Center Prom, an event hosted by the center and its staff over on 37 Friend Street. It was the first prom at the new Senior Center. Provided 3-course meals as well as glow sticks, seniors of all kinds were encouraged to participate. The center also hired a third party to take formal photos with a red curtain background, which helped to serve up lasting memories for these seniors as they headed into the weekend. Resident Joe DiGregorio was named Prom King, while Maddie Valerie was awarded the title of Prom Queen. For all of the struggles Lynn seniors have to go through on a daily basis, getting the chance to release all of that energy in a positive way through dancing and celebration always seems to bring joy to all involved. For LCTV News, I'm Josh Englander.
As part of the summer tunnel mitigation plan, the MBTA and Keyless Commuter Services announced that Zone A1 fares will apply for the entire Newburyport-Rockport line from July 1st through August 31st. The total cost will be $2.40, the equivalent of a one-way trip on the subway, and there will be free parking all along the route, with Salem and Swampscott charging $2 a day. The hope is these reduced fares will encourage people to see the commuter rail as a viable travel option both during the tunnel closure and after it reopens. Also, for the full ferry schedule, go to our website, lyntv.org. In its second year, Youth Pride was once again a hit, with resource tables, crafts, and live entertainment. Under the towering mural in Frederick Douglass Park, a relaxed, happy atmosphere filled the event. Take a look.
This is our second Youth Pride. We found that a ton of youth were engaged last year, so making sure that we have a warm, safe space for them to come and just be themselves is really important. This year's Youth Pride was organized by Lynn Museum, Creative Collective, and the Family Forward Resource Center located at Centerboard. We're super excited to have everybody here at the Lynn Museum in Frederick Douglass Park. We have art making activities, 2 separate art making activities hosted by Raw Arts and Lynn Museum. We also have a bunch of resources available from Spur Interactive, Girls Inc., Centerboard, Lynn Mead Streets, and many others. We have a bouncy house, cotton candy, bubbles, and there's live music with DJ Ravina and our local youth band Shy. They'll be performing at 6 o'clock, and the air is just filled with giggles and excitement and dancing, and it's been really beautiful today.
The Lynn Senior Center has a new permanent director of elder services, Megan Simpson-Best. Former director Chris Gomez departed back in March to take a job in Beverly, and Tanya Friedman has been serving in the interim ever since. Simpson-Best brings more than 25 years of experience as a certified social worker to the position. Previously, she worked in the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families as a family service and training and licensing social worker. Her focus was developing and implementing programs for adults over 60 years old, including running a weekly support group for grandparents raising their grandchildren. Saturday saw Veterans Appreciation Day at the Grand Army of the Republic, highlighted by speeches and performances by reenactment soldiers. Those in attendance heard speakers emphasize the importance of veterans in our community and how much they have sacrificed to bring us where we are today. Here is more.
Thank you all for being here. The collaboration between DAV and GAR is a perfect union of organizations dedicated to serving and preserving the legacy of veterans. The DAV has been a committed advocate for disabled veterans, providing critical support, resources, and representation to ensure they receive the care and benefits that they deserve.
You think about the value and the importance in our pride and the institutions we have here, our democracy, our freedom, and you remember, particularly, days like today, how fragile it can be and how contingent it is. And it's contingent upon people like the folks that we're surrounded by, people like the folks that the DAV serves, stepping up and answering the call and protecting this country.
Throughout history, veterans have been at the forefront of social and political change. They have fought for civil rights, for equal treatment, and for a better future for all Americans. They have shown us what it means to be true patriots, and they have inspired us to be better citizens. This building has served as a gathering place for veterans and their families for many, many years, and it continues to be a symbol of the strength and resilience in our community.
On Wednesday, the 28th, Governor Healy announced new appointments to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation's Board of Directors, one of which is former Mayor of Lynn, Thomas McGee. A lifelong Lynner, he now holds the role of experience in public/private finance or transportation planning and policy seat. McGee has a background in law, serving as the Assistant District Attorney for Essex County from 1988 to 1990 before being elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives. Most recently, he served on the Senate Joint Committee on Transportation beginning in 2003 and was the chair from 2011 to 2018, after which he was elected mayor for a term from 2018 to 2022. According to Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, quote, "Every community in Massachusetts relies on our transportation system, so it's essential that we make sure every community is represented at the decision-making table. These new appointments to DOT's Board of Directors reflects our commitment to being an administration for every region of Massachusetts and to bringing people with diverse experiences and backgrounds together to drive change, end quote. A Broadway Project public meeting was organized by the city and state politicians, Mass DOT, and the company hired for the project, allowing the community the opportunity to share potential concerns and questions. It lasted several hours and saw many people express thoughts and concerns they have regarding the current plan to redo the intersections of Broadway and Genes Street and Broadway and Euclid Ave.
The overarching goal is public safety. As you're going to hear tonight, this intersection that we're talking about sees 16,000 cars a day. It's incredibly busy. It's also dangerous, legitimately dangerous, and I mean a risk to the public, to the driving public, to the walking public, to the biking public, to the transit-taking public, and people are getting hurt. There's 25 accidents a year. It's one of the top 200 most dangerous intersections in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We don't feel that it's right to sit idly by when our residents are being put at risk. That's why we're here.
The Pickering Middle School building project has been approved to move forward into the schematic design phase by the Massachusetts School Building Authority Board of Directors. In this phase, the MSBA can work with Lynn to produce potential options for replacing Pickering with a new facility. The current building has a wide range of problems, from mechanical and plumbing issues to window accessibility and overcrowding. In this potential plan, the new Pickering will be built on the site of the current school and adjacent to Magnolia Park, serving grades 6 through 8. The main goal is creating a space that allows for a better learning environment for both students and teachers, according to MSBA Director John McCarthy. The Lynn Public Health Department, in collaboration with several other organizations, held an Impact Melanoma community event to educate the community about protecting themselves from the sun during the summer. Take a look.
We are here in front of the Lynn YMCA having an event that started with Impact Melanoma. It's going to be a summer safety event. So we have the fire department over here. They're teaching about safety with if you're in your house and how fire would travel into your house, and they have a lot of information with that. We're part of the health department, and we're giving away a lot of masks and test kits. And we have the police department that's here doing bike safety. They were giving away bike helmets and sunglasses. We have people from the Food Project. We have people from Mass General Brigham. And we also have Impact Melanoma Table, where they're giving away shirts and with sunscreen in them, hats, and some other sunscreen.
So Impact Melanoma is an organization that basically raises awareness about skin cancer. So we target different populations and try to have a really wide variety. So we'll talk to people that are like cosmetology students, for example. That's a really great way to get like early detection, because there's lots of areas like your head and neck that you might miss. So like people like that. We talk to people who are at high risk of exposure, such as lifeguards. So our event today is to raise awareness for skin cancer, so how to prevent it. So we have like bracelets that help us detect if you need to reapply more sunscreen. And then specifically we have a lot of children's clothes today, so a lot of times kids don't want to put on sunscreen, they're like squirming around, and so it's a really easy way to protect them. If you throw on the SPF shirt, then you don't really have to worry about it, and just raising awareness.
So we have invited the public. It's a community event, and we're really happy that there are so many people that are participating in this.
This is just a fantastic event. I'm so happy on the turnout. We've had so many people in the community that have come by. Thanks to the YMCA for partnering up for us and giving us the space for this. Thank you, Andreas Baez.
But I just want to say that this underscores the Health Division's commitment to involving social determinants of health and and having these events in the communities, and the response has been overwhelming. I'm pretty sure that we'll be having more events that involves lots of different partner organizations, and we're just excited to be out here.
The City Council held a special meeting last night, the 29th, to approve the $460 million budget. They spoke briefly before voting to approve the budget being proposed. Yesterday, Thursday the 29th, the Healy-Driscoll administration awarded $15 million to 28 Head Start programs throughout Massachusetts, including Leo right here in Lynn. Secretary of Education and former Superintendent of Lynn Public Schools, Patrick Tutwiler, came out to make the announcement. Here's a clip from the ceremony.
Today, the Healy-Driscoll administration is announcing $15 million in fiscal 24 in supplemental state grants to 28 organizations across the Commonwealth that offer early Head Start and Head Start programs.
And Head Start is the ultimate two-generation approach. We are supporting the economic mobility of our families while we are supporting the next generation to be prepared for school and life success. These grants provide such an important investment in the moment that we have right now. So we'll be able to provide additional supports for our workforce, recruiting and retaining qualified staff to work in our classrooms to make sure families have access to these essential services, and perhaps most importantly at this moment in time, investing in the social, emotional, and behavioral health of our kids and families.
To see the full press conference, visit lyntv.org. The Massachusetts Senior Action Council was on the Lowdown to highlight what the Lynn chapter has accomplished, as well as their larger counterpart for the entire state. Take a look. Hello and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we're joined by 3 members of the Mass Senior Action Council. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And would you mind just quickly introducing yourselves for our audience? Pam, you can go first.
Hi, I'm Pam Edwards. I'm the Director of Organizing at Mass Senior Action.
I am Rich Smith. I am the President of the North Shore chapter of Mass Senior Action.
And I'm Kathy Paul, and I'm President on the State Board.
Great. Full. Now, Mass Action, they've been around for quite a bit, 42 years, which is very impressive. You've done so much on local level, the state level. Would you be able to, for anyone who maybe doesn't know what Mass Senior Action is, how would you describe it?
Well, we're a grassroots organization that gets involved with senior needs, whether it's housing, transportation, Medicare, Mass Health. We work on all levels to try to improve their access to them.
And now, Kathy, you mentioned you work on the state level, so there's a local chapter in Lynn, but then there's also a state level. So how do you all work together? How does that work with so many members?
Well, it means a lot of meetings. We do a lot of them on Zoom. We do some in person. But getting out there, it's not hard. It's really enjoyable because we're with other seniors who are also doing the same thing I'm doing, fighting for senior rights. It's very important. Seniors, they always figured, the golden years, I'll be all right. Not so. They really kicked us to the curb. But we keep fighting and we keep getting things improved for all our seniors. We work on, like you said, housing, transportation, food insecurity, and all their medical issues. Some seniors were sharing inhalers because they couldn't afford their own inhaler. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Some of them were splitting their pills. That's ridiculous. You need to take your pills when you're supposed to take your pills.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing that the doctor told you to take, not part of them.
Yeah.
But seniors were trying to save because they just didn't have enough to make the ends meet to the end of the month. But through Mass Senior Action, seniors found out that there's other people just like them They're not in their own boat. We're all in the same big boat. And we won't let that boat sink.
Oh.
So that's what we do.
You connect seniors, you connect anyone who wants to get involved, because anyone can join the council, correct? Like, you don't have to be a senior?
You don't have to be a
It
senior,
doesn't be
no.
a senior to be on the board.
Oh, okay, so that's how it works.
Decision making is always with our senior population because we always work on issues that affect them. And our recipe for change is that the people in the community that's affected by the decisions should have a say at the table.
You mentioned that as one of the things you did in Lynn, not only advocating for the new senior center, but saying the Council on Aging would be in control of the budget. So really making sure, because that's money is where a lot of the control is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember another big thing as I covered it was the VA clinic in Lynn. That was another huge project that you took
How
on.
dare they take that away from our veterans? They served our country. And so we decided they served us. Now we're going to take care of them. We're not going to let it leave here. We lost the other hospitals, but we weren't going to lose the veterans. They deserve better.
And it serves thousands of veterans, so where were they going to go?
Now, in the
to Boston or New Bedford, a whole day trip.
Yeah, the many veterans that we spoke to during that campaign, they had tried that. They had tried the shuttle to Boston, but they had to get on at 7:15 in the morning. And let's say their appointment was at 9, and you're in the doctor 15 or 30 minutes. They had to wait there the whole day until 2 o'clock to come home. When right here, we need health care in Lynn. And so we were determined to make sure that the veteran's voice was heard and that the VA administration thought twice before taking that health care out of here.
Which is it's all incredibly an admirable thing to fight for. And you focus on so many issues: healthcare, long-term care, civil engagement. How do you, not like how do you pick, but how do you kind of decide where the focus goes?
People go to meetings and they open their mouth and say what they think should be done, and we all just do it.
Or we find out where something's going on, like if they're going to do a budget cut or something like that in City Hall, we'll go up there and have a whole bunch of blue shirts in the audience.
So you're known at the state how it says the blue
shirt brigade.
Yeah.
I like that. You do it, and you're making yourselves visible, you're making yourselves heard, because they can't ignore that.
We try to be the squeaky wheel. We know that personal stories can really affect how budgets are formed, how decisions are made. And so that is why we always try to get community members to add their voice whenever we're doing any decision. We have subcommittees that you can get on if the third Wednesday of the month doesn't work for you here in Lynn. There are plenty of Zoom meetings that you can get on. Right now, we're plaintiffs in a suit against the state because they are not properly funding and distributing long-term care services the way that the American Disabilities Act said that they should. So right now, that committee is really focusing in on that and to try to improve long-term care. We got a call yesterday from a gentleman who is going to lost his leg, and his house needs like a ramp and needs to be handicap accessible. Well, instead, right now the options are you pay $10,000 a month and go into a nursing home, lose your home, spin down, and then the state pays for the Medicaid at that $10,000 facility. I think for $10,000, the guy could be able to get a ramp in his house and fix his bathroom so that he can get in it with his new situation. So we try to go to the root of the problem and really strategize and try to fix it not just for this gentleman, but for everyone. We could do a GoFundMe page and say, let's help this person. But then what about all the other people that are in that same situation as him? We want to try to make it better for everyone, and so we try to fix the system.
So getting to root causes, root issues to try to help as many people as possible. And on the focus of housing, I didn't realize what was going to be going into the former Union Hospital site, new subsidized housing. It seems like that was, you were involved with that?
Yes.
Yes.
We were involved trying to stop them from closing Union Hospital, but deep pockets won. And but we did talk to the realtor, and he made it so there's going to be a lot of the low-income housing going up there.
We did a postcard campaign when then it was called Partners Healthcare. Now it's, I don't know, Brigham and Women's Healthcare or something, that they paid $750,000 to get that new name. But they couldn't keep Union Hospital open because they didn't have the money. But we did a postcard campaign because they were going to give it to a for-profit developer that also built on Monroe Street here in Lynn. Was going to let him buy it. And we made phone calls to the board at Salem Hospital, and we also wrote letters. And fortunately, our friends, Salamini and those came to and put in a bid and are now coordinating with a very well-known nonprofit developer, 2 Life, who has excellent services for our senior housing. And it's going to be a beautiful complex, and it's going to be very nice for people to transition and to retire there.
As you said before, your seniors you should be taken care of course. Like everyone in the community should be taken care of and deserves that housing and to remain in their own home if they choose to.
Yeah, years ago they told us to save for your retirement. Well, people did save. They didn't go on extravagant vacations and do a lot of things. They saved, and now they're being penalized because they saved. But it's not much money that they kept. If they own a home, if the roof falls in, you got to pay for it. If the foundation crumbles, you got to pay for it. If the boiler breaks in the middle of the winter, you got to get it fixed. So having a little bit of money on the side, it gets gobbled up quick, but they don't see it that way. But we know what it is. So that's why we've been fighting. And our governor is going to put in that the asset limit will be lifted off of the MSP, and that'll be a great start. And now if they can just lift the asset straight across the board, that'll even be better. But one step at a time. We take baby steps. But the fact that, yeah, you have to have some money for a rainy day, and they really don't use that money, they keep it. So if they have to repair the plumbing, they can do it, or whatever they have to repair.
Kathy's talking about the health care. Whenever we passed Romney Care, they really took care of people 64 and over, but when you turn 65, if you have assets that are over $2,000, you are cut off all health care help. And that includes your life insurance. So you're 65 years old, 70 years old, and you've been paying into life insurance your whole life so that your family, your children don't have to pay for it or you be a burden, and they hold that against you. It was fine when you were 64 to have life insurance, but once you turn 65, they count it against you. We have legislation in right now to change that, and we were successful, as Kathy said. MSP, which is the Medicare Savings Program that helps you pay for your out-of-pocket Medicare expense, they don't count it on that. We're trying to get the same for Mass Health or Medicaid.
That's amazing that you're trying to do that. You said baby steps, but all those little baby steps are making huge changes around senior care. And said, I wish we could, I think we could stay on all day and talk about it, all the amazing things you're doing, but we're going to have to wrap it up. Before I do, is there anything else that I hadn't asked or anything else you wanted to
Well, we're always looking for new members. It's $10 a year for a single person, $15 for a couple. It's $50 for life or $75 for a couple. And you can get in touch, look on Facebook and on Google, and you can type in Mass Senior Action Council, and you will see everything that we do. And if any of you are interested in also joining us, please do. We have our meetings the third Wednesday over on 10 Church Street, part of Lynn Housing. And all are welcome. You don't have to join right away. Come on and see us. Listen to us. You'll get hook, line, and sinker. You'll fall in love with the situation because you'll realize that we're real. And everything that we're fighting for is to make life better for our seniors.
Very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Danny.
You're welcome. That's very well said. Thank you for coming on to talk about it. Always appreciate it.
Anytime.
And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Now, the sports update. Over the weekend, the Agganis tournament did not disappoint as players came from all over the state to compete. Both boys and girls lacrosse ended in ties off last-minute goals, 11-11 for the girls and 10-10 for the boys. In boys lacrosse, Classical's Ryan Dunn earned the MVP nod for the South team, scoring 2 goals in the first quarter. Brady Ailes of St. Mary's contributed with a goal of his own. The South was also led by a Lynn coach and graduate of Lynn Classical. The 25th annual softball tournament produced another thrilling ending 5-5 as the North scored in the bottom of the 7th for the walk-off tie. English coach Ashley Aldred earned the role of coach for the South. Anna Fringuli, who has been lights out for St. Mary's all year, went 3 for 4 with an RBI in the box, throwing 3 innings with 6 strikeouts and 1 unearned run. Another Spartan, Ange Chang, also scored a run off a single after being hit by a pitch. The South built a 5-2 lead, but the North came all the way back for the tie. The South handily took the baseball game 12-4 on Fraser Field, led by Classical's Brady Warren. He was awarded one of the 11 Agganis scholarships and was named the MVP in the 28th annual All-Star Baseball game. He had an RBI and scored a run in the top of the 4th. He was supported by fellow Linner and Bulldog Brendan Falaska, who caught the entire game despite being hurt in the first inning. Falaska had the highlight of the game with an inside-the-park home run in the second. Both boys and girls basketball South teams were victorious and featured several elite Linners. Multi-sport athlete David Brown helped guide the South to a narrow 101-90 victory, contributing 17 points. Despite being down 26-15 in the first, they bounced back to tie the game at 33 and pulled ahead in the second half. 3 other St. Mary's players were on the team, including Anthony Dietria, who nailed back-to-back threes to swing the momentum back in the South's favor. For girls basketball, Nia Morgan of St. Mary's took home the title of the South's MVP, while also scoring a team-high 13 points. 2 additional Spartans combined for 15 more, including contributing to a 15-1 run to put the game away for the South in the second half. The Rams were also well represented, as Ava Thurman had 9 points, Akia Brown tacked on 6, and Lauren Henze also had 6, including a 3-pointer to begin the South's rally. South boys and girls soccer lost to the North 4-0 in both games. Tech goalie Giovanni Solis still had a solid day for the South, making a diving save in a 3-on-1 breakaway. The South girls team had Lynn Classical coach Jessica Gamble at the helm, and despite the loss, she thought it was a great way to highlight the players at the end of their high school careers. The All-Star football game at Manning Field saw another victory for the South, led by quarterback Shay Lynch of Peabody. David Brown swatted down 2 passes on the defensive side, contributing to his second game in as many days after also competing in the boys basketball game on Monday. Nicholas Costa represented Classical and the North, also playing his final game, making several key stops, including tackling Lynch and holding on to a South player to prevent what would have been an easy score. The Navigators grabbed a road win 6-2 over the Bristol Blues on the 21st. They took full control of the game, scoring 3 runs off a Brendan Jones base-clearing triple with 2 outs in the 8th. They were on a 3-game winning streak, beating the Valley Blue Sox 4-0, Mystic Valley 4-3, and the Martha's Vineyard Sharks also 4-3, before falling in a high-scoring 15-10 loss to the Mainers. Pitchers Stan DeMartinez and Braden Clark were also named to the Week 3 New England Collegiate Baseball League Honor Roll. Dropping below 500 with their 5th loss in a row, the 40-42 Sox are struggling on both the offensive and defensive side on the ball. In their last 3 games, they have only managed to score 3 runs, while opponents totaled 18. They look to bounce back in a weekend series against the Blue Jays. Next up on the lowdown was the vice president of Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beaches. The conversation went between their summer concert series, as well as steps being taken to address the water quality issues at Kings Beach. Here is the second lowdown. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we have on the Vice President of Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beaches. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Great. Now, could you quickly introducing yourself for the audience?
Sure, yeah. Mike Celona, 20-year Linner. One of the things I do is I'm Vice President of the Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beach, which is a nonprofit organization that supports the preservation and promotion of Lynn Shores and Nahant Beach reservations along our shoreline.
Which is fantastic. I let guests introduce themselves now because I'm like, I'm going to get this name wrong sometime, and I just feel super bad about it.
No, it's just definitely easier, particularly with last names.
Mm-hmm. And Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beaches, you've been around for quite some time. You're a pretty established organization.
Yeah, I think we're coming upon 30 years. It's founded back in the early 90s by some other individuals who are very forward-thinking. Been involved in the group since 2008, focusing on some of the outreach and education, some work that we've done in the Lynn Public Schools, as well as the some of the interpretive signs along both Lynn Shore and then along the Nahant Beach as well.
Because you said your main role is policy and outreach.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Yeah,
so working on some of the issues at both beaches, water quality, dunes, in terms of Nahant, as well as working with our outreach coordinator, TJ Cullinane, who's great for some of our work in the Lynn Public Schools.
Oh, it's all about, you always want to educate people, right?
Yes, yeah, so we've been able to work with Brickett Elementary School, which is closest to the beaches, as well as a few of the other elementary schools to do some outreach, coordinating some of our efforts with Northeastern's Marine Science Center to bring traveling touch tanks and some of their educators into the classroom. There's a number of kids who live clearly near the ocean and yet have never been there. So it's nice for at least us to introduce them to that and also hopefully make them welcome and interested in actually visiting the beach.
Mm-hmm. And another way that you do that that's going to be coming up is your concert series.
Yeah, so we've been having concerts for almost, I think, as long as our organization has been around. So they're in July and August. The first one is always the day before, the night before July 4th. So our July 3rd concert runs from 7 to 9 and ends with fireworks along Lynn Shore Drive. And then after that, it's the Thursdays from 6 to 8. Through middle of August, and then we end with a movie night that we coordinate with the mayor's office. So yeah, you can showcase some of our local bands. A lot of it tends to be somewhat 70s rock or 80s rock cover bands, but we have some other ones kind of mixed in. We have a jazz band, and it's a great time. It's a super venue, very family friendly. So I highly recommend people come and check it out.
Yeah, I remember I went last year, and it was so fun. And you have a different act this year for the 3rd of July, because before it was Lois Lane. Yes?
That's right. Yes, yeah. So we have a new act, and we're excited to bring them on. Again, it's an exciting night to be able to entertain the crowd and to lead us off into the fireworks, which is like the second biggest thing that everyone's coming there for.
I mean, fireworks over the ocean, it's beautiful.
It's hard to beat it. Like I said, it's a great location. We're able to, again, bring people to the water in a safe environment and enjoy the outdoors.
And all the concerts are movie nights free, yes?
Everything is free. Yep, everything is free. And there's no charging for parking. Lynn Shore Drive is free for parking. Can be challenging finding a parking space for sure. Nahant Beach has charged for parking during the day. And but yeah, the concert's free. Bring a chair, bring some food. And just sit back and have a good time. Enjoy the view and enjoy the music.
Well, can't go wrong with that.
No, I don't think you can.
And I'll pivot a little bit to some of the work that you do on the beaches. Obviously, Kings Beach has been a huge concern for a lot of people in the community, and I know you focused on that a bit too. Yeah,
our organization's been involved with the issue of water quality on Kings Beach for a number of years. It's been a long-standing issue that involves multiple parties. I would say our focus has been trying to raise awareness around it, which I think has really culminated in a great steering committee that was formed between the two different communities that is really focused on trying to find a long-term solution for the water quality issues. It's a bigger issue than certainly our organization, which is volunteer-driven, can fix. But I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to raise awareness around the issue and highlight the need for resolving a water quality problem at Lynn's only public beach.
And I wasn't sure, you have the red flags, or the blue flags, depending, it indicates, and we're going through right now a very long stretch, like 18, 20 days of red flags. What causes, I guess, the water quality to get worse?
So at most beaches across the state, there's intermittent bacteria issues that can be caused by birds, can be caused by animals in the water, dogs, sometimes people, and oftentimes there might not be a particular known reason for it. In Lynn, the difference is that we have what you call a point source. So this is literally something you can point to say that is where the pollution is coming out of. And in this case, there's two pipes, one discharging from Lynn, one discharging from Swampscott. And the water coming out of there generally is of very poor quality. So it's not consistently poor, it's generally poor. And so you get this kind of intermittent issue with the actual beach water, because you have fresh water coming out of the pipes intermingling with the beach water, and sometimes when they take the sample, they're capturing a lot of that unfortunately dirty water, which causes the high bacteria results, which then leads to the red flag. They test 4 different locations along the beach on the Lynn side, and some combination of the results then leads to a red flag or a blue flag.
Okay, I see. That makes sense.
Yes.
And another thing about, or you mentioned about your organization, how it works is, I know you said there's so many people, so many places trying, because it is such a huge issue. Someone might look at that and say, well, what could I possibly do as an individual? So what would you maybe say to that?
I would say there's a really good website that Save the Harbor, Save the Bay created, which is kingsbeachma.com, which is meant to be a clearinghouse for information about Kings Beach. So I would definitely recommend people check out that website. If they're interested, I know the mayor's office has been involved in Lynn, the town administrator in Swampscott's been involved with it. So I would stay in touch with them or see what type of information that they're transmitting about what's going on. So I think the best way to do it, I would say, is the Kings Beach MA website, but also writing letters to the editor or finding out, again, in like the Lynn Daily IM and other places, what's the conversation like going on as these things progress, because there is a lot of movement and some really good movement about trying to address the issue, but again, it's going to take some time for a solution to be fully identified and then implemented.
And you mentioned with your organization too, you're completely volunteer-based.
Yes.
So anyone can volunteer?
Yeah. We're volunteer-based, member-driven. So we're a membership organization where people pay dues to support our work. We're always looking for help with volunteers for helping us organize some of our activities around cleanups, some of our education and outreach that's run by volunteers. Our newsletter is volunteers, so all this stuff. Yeah, we're always looking for interested people who have some time and some other talents that they'd like to share.
And in addition to being a beachside community, why do you think it's so important to have these volunteer organizations?
I think that it helps to drive community involvement and community engagement, which is really important. These beaches are public beaches. They are for everybody, but they also need oversight, and they need people to keep an eye on things to make sure that the proper maintenance is going on, that there are other activities to draw people to the beach. I know there's going to be some painting activities this summer as well that we're not a part of, but there are other activities that are going on that bring people there. Nahant's a bit different. Nahant Beach is a bit different because it's a beautiful long stretch of beach that doesn't really need any help bringing people there. It's incredibly well used, but again, I think in the terms of having people engaged and involved makes them want to further preserve and support the preservation of the locations.
And you said that you got involved back in 2008.
Yes.
So how did you originally get drawn to it?
I saw I believe it was an ad in the newspaper. I mean, this goes further back, but yeah, I think it was an ad in the Daily Item that there was a meeting going on, and I just showed up and met a good collection of people. I'm friends with many of them still, it was a good way to introduce myself or get involved in the community when I didn't know anybody. Moved here without knowing anybody. So it's a good way to meet like-minded people and to also, because I was interested in it, be able to get involved.
So you're very much an environmentalist, I can see.
Yes, it's definitely a passion of mine.
And I think we've covered so much in a short period of time, the concerts, the water quality, all of it, but was there anything that I didn't mention or didn't ask you that you wanted to mention before we wrap up? No, I mean, I think, it's going to be hopefully a great summer concert-wise. The weather is the only outlier that we're never quite aware of. And I think things are trending in the positive direction with regards to trying to finally resolve some of the Kings Beach issues. Mm-hmm. So I think it's good. It's good. But it's still, things are going to take time. And for those of us who've been invested for years, we're probably going to continue to be invested for years. And it's really done for the benefit of everybody. Mm-hmm. And so I just hope people get out there and are able to enjoy a piece of paradise that we do have here that many people do not. Lynn, I like the way you just described it. That's what I'm going to call it now.
There you go.
And I want to thank you for coming on again.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Always, anytime. And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Now, the community calendar. Next Monday the 3rd is the reading of Frederick Douglass Together in the Frederick Douglass Park. The community is invited to come down and hear the annual reading of What to a Slave is the 4th of July, a famous speech written by Douglass. This will also be the first year the North Shore Juneteenth Association is partnering with Wendy Joseph to add a secondary speech by Douglass from the event. Also on the 3rd, Lynn will have a fireworks celebration in recognition of Independence Day. Head down to Red Rock Park to see this year's 4th of July fireworks at 9:15 p.m. And get there early to enjoy a concert from 7 to 9 p.m. featuring the Dirty Floorboards and put on by the Friends of Lynn and Nahant Beaches. Lynn Movie Nights at Goldfish Pond are returning this summer and will begin Saturday the 8th. DC League of Super Pets will be the featured movie with free popcorn offered for those in attendance. Residents are encouraged to bring their own blankets and chairs to enjoy a movie under the stars starting at 8:15 p.m. For the full schedule of movies being shown throughout the summer, go to lyntv.org. That brings us to the end of the news for this week. To keep up to date on events happening around Lynn, go to lyntv.org. Also, follow us on social media for updates, press releases, and announcements. For videos, interviews, and other member and staff content, go to Lynn Community Television on YouTube. I'm Danny Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.